I'm Tank Parade, and I'm at Matt Zoe's house. And we are going over my song, Neon Ghost, that was on Matt's Mad Zoo compilation. Bunch of great tunes on there.
Yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, this is Ben.
Yeah, my name's Ben.
Ben Beneke, right?
Yeah, that's right. You're the
Ben
first
Beneke.
person that's ever said my last name right. So thank you.
Yeah. You're coming from where again?
I'm coming from North Hollywood, California. So just Los Angeles.
Local, yes. So yeah, where should we start? How did the inspiration for this tune come about?
That's funny, man. You know, I was making dubstep under Tank Parade pretty much exclusively for a while, and I had an old alias called like Next to Blue, which was a lot of like future bass type music, and then I just wanted to do something different, and I just wanted to be inspired again because dubstep wasn't really doing it for me, and then I was listening to like a lot of Jai Paul at the time,
right?
And I just love the weird like analog bass stuff. Like it's all so cool, and I was like, I want to make something kind of like that. But
totally hear that.
Yeah, like something like that has like really a lot of groove, but can still kind of like hit on like on a dance floor, I guess. And yeah, that's kind of. And then I just started it one day. Just, you know.
Right, should we play through the tune once?
Yeah.
And then we'll go through all the elements.
Definitely. Alrighty.
Two plugins didn't work, so.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I'm sure. Neon Ghost.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just say it that this is one of my favorite tracks on the compilation for sure.
Thank you. That means a lot. Coming from you, definitely.
Yeah, it's like definitely one of the most creative and melodically, like, and harmonically interesting tracks. I guess we'll start from the drums.
Yeah. Start right up top.
Yeah.
So, the drums are simple. I didn't really want to overthink a lot of it. I guess. I think on this one, which is different from previous stuff I've done, is I added a lot of layers to the kick.
Oh yeah.
Just because it seemed like, especially in a song like this, it was pretty important. I don't know.
Cool. Let's hear the different layers.
Yeah. See, this is the kick. Cool. Okay, so this is the kick. Nice, beefy. It's pretty compressed, you know. Pretty, I wanted it to be one of the louder things in the mix.
Yeah.
So the individual layers, we have like this top kick. It's kind of like peaking, kind of like in the higher. Was it like? Yeah, just like mid-rangey type kick that's really snappy.
Yeah.
And then so we got this one. I think this one's just like add some more low end, but still kind of hanging out in the. No, that's just low end. What am I talking about? This one is just kind of. Yeah, I got the thumpy boy, and then
it's mids.
Yeah, this one is like the big like sub one that I need to add at the end. But yeah, so all of these like kind of, I just filling up the spectrum.
Yeah, and I noticed you're compressing one of them and leaving the others.
Yeah, I wanted the kind of like the mid-rangey stuff because I feel like when you compress stuff that's like has like a lot of content like in the what is it like 50 to like 100 hertz range, it'll like sound weird. Maybe it's just me, but keep that open. Yeah, and then for the higher end like snappy one, it's definitely really compressed because it's a lot of like the transient and like what is it, the thump? I don't know. It's like what is it, the bump, the thump, and the
crunch, the thump. I've heard it being called
so many things. Yeah. So yeah, and then with this, and I think this part really. Adding, just using that kick, it's not really low end heavy to add more rhythm with everything else.
Yeah, that's like the recurring theme. We've done 2 of these streams so far, and everyone has like done kick layering, and that's what we've always started with, and it's always like one's like more compressed and stereo sometimes, or roomy. I think decay, and then there's like maybe one to fill in the thud.
Yeah, definitely. It's just
for the sub.
I always have such a hard time doing this too. Like this is like the longest. I always feel like I'm catching up at the end with the kick stuff, like with the layering, because.
Yeah, but you're doing it right. I mean, it sounds one's like super snappy, punchy. The next is like has a little bit more attack on it, but and then the sub is like a really slow attack. Yeah,
definitely. This is like the main. It's pretty simple. It's just like a clap, just a loud clap. Some sample pack from Splice. But it's actually interesting. I bounced this, so I had this. All these claps were like different in this loop. And it was originally like 128, I think. Yeah, so like I used the beats warping mode because all the claps were just like a little bit different. So the beats was picking up like these like pre-transient sort of. And so like you can see every clap here is different. You can hear it too. One and it's like a little sweep, a different sweep, just like a little clap. And I just added like a ton of characters, so I just like freeze it and flattened it right away because it's like I don't want to lose any of that.
Yeah, it definitely adds a lot for sure. It makes it feel more human.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's like definitely always kind of something I'm trying to achieve when writing music like this. And then I know there's another layer. I think it comes in after a few bars here. I just like, I felt like, when it switches, adding just another layer to the clap, some a little more aggressive. This is from the Malay pack. Malay is like Frank Ocean's producer, one of them. And yeah, his splice pack's really good. There's not a lot in it, but it's definitely got some like real gems of sounds in it. Yeah, I tons of percussion, tons of hi-hats and stuff. And I love that. It just adds so much groove to everything. Just like a mix of simple stuff. Let's see. Oh, and like I guess just all of them. It's the ones with the intro here. I think that's pretty simple. I don't really do a ton. Oh yeah, I do these little interesting.
Are most of these from splice packs or?
Oh, they're from all over the place. I have this pack, this guy, Akira Complex.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's great, and he used to just like he just spend like a few minutes making these like really quick packs, just like really compressed percussions and like old like drum machine sounds, and I live by those still for years. So a lot of the samples in here, like this fill, that's pretty much all from that, like those packs.
Nice.
Except for this thing, just like a little resampled laser thing that sounds cool. But yeah, and then I guess we move on to the drop over here. I'm a sucker for like amen breaks, solo breaks. I have just like the more I have, the happier I am.
Yeah, think
cool.
breaks and amen.
Yes, you need them. They're so good. So cool.
Do you is that from a splice pack as well, or do you
that's
sample it from the actual record?
No, it's from some old. It's just like a pack that's just called breaks.
Nice.
And it's just a bunch of the old like classic sampled ones, just combined in one folder. It's one of those packs that I always use in like every one of the songs that I write.
Yeah.
Like even when I was making dubstep, it was just like they're all over the place. I guess on the drop, there's a bunch of just another sample from that like Malay pack. It's just like a airy thing, just to add some what do you call it? Just to fill it up a bit, yeah. And then this is a trick I do a lot. Totally stole this from Flume, and like a lot of his music, he has like the really harsh white noise like impact.
At the start.
So yeah, just like really resonant-y.
Yeah,
like,
with a little bit of. It sounds like there's a LFO on.
Yeah. It's kind of like acting like a ring modulator a little bit. Yeah.
That's something I always do as well. Put ring modulation, or like sometimes have the sub trigger the ring modulation, so it's at the same frequency as whatever the sub's doing.
That's a good idea.
So it sort of acts like kind of fake distortion.
Oh yeah, like I know in like an operator, I like to do like the fixed frequency and like noise, like loop noise a lot over stuff. That sounds great. I like to keep all my hats, like if I can get away with it, like unwarped and unquantized. I can make it fit. Yeah. Like here, this is not the right tempo, but it sounds like swingy because it's like a little slower than.
Right.
Yeah, and so I think that again, like trying to achieve like something a little more human and like organic.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's hear what the whole percussion thing sounds like without that. Let's see.
So this is it off, and like this is probably gonna be barely. It's like a little bit. You can hear it's just a little quieter.
Yeah.
So it's not, interfering with anything else. It's mixing stuff, cutting just a little bit of those harsh highs out.
Yeah, it feels just like a gluing effect.
Yeah. Yeah, this is like the main beef of the tune. All these, the fun parts I like to call. Like usually this group, I just didn't name it, but usually I call this group like fun stuff or like the goody bits or like whatever, just because.
The stuff that you want to sidechain.
Important, yeah, exactly. It's funny. This sample is actually like a harp sample from some like really, just like deep diving YouTube.
Oh yeah.
It's just some like woman playing a harp like in her living room.
Huh.
It's like I don't know where it's from, but yeah. I was like, oh, this is like a really good sample. So I just honestly just rip it off YouTube.
Yeah. YouTube is such a great place.
Oh
for
yeah.
Crate digging and sample digging.
Definitely, I live by that.
Yeah.
And then this is just like a low pass resample version of it, with a little bit of grain delay on it, just to fill it out on the spectrum a little more. Because without the grain delay, it's kind of like bland.
So this grain delay is just adding a sort of like, almost like doubling effect.
Yeah, it's like doubling it at a lower octave.
Okay.
So I don't know. It makes it.
Yeah.
It's like in a pond. I don't know. It's like watery.
Yeah, I love using grain delay for like those kind of things, like pitch shifting.
Oh yeah, definitely. The grain delay is one of the best things that Ableton offers. Honestly, it's so nice. And then this is just like the. I think I saved this track just so I could. Yeah. Okay. So this is the original. I'll show you what I did to make it. Some like little tricks I use to make it sound cooler. So yeah, here we have like that sample. Some like filter in here.
So what's going on with the processing?
Yeah. So the processing is it's just like just some EQing and balancing it because it was panned weird. Kind of start with all the surgical stuff,
right,
and then get creative after that. And sometimes it goes the other way around, but every song's different.
Yeah.
And then again, same thing, like the grain delay, except this one's cranked a little more just to bring out I like the lower sound more, but I wanted to maintain the high end just to.
Nice. And I see there's automation on the pitch.
Yeah. Okay. So this is interesting actually. Kilohertz makes like an all-pass filter plugin called Disperser, and this is good for like so much stuff.
It makes everything sound squishy.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know any other way to describe that plugin besides it's a squishifier.
Definitely. And so yeah, it's a squishifier, and like it's great. It has like a lot of applications I've found, like for this specifically, like like I like the tape effect where like if it slows down and there's just like weird pitch wobbles, it's just, and so like to emulate that. I'm just like automating it ever so slightly down here in this lane right here. It's just the frequency. So let me open that back up. Actually, you can kind of see what it's doing. It's just like making like really subtle, it's like pitch stuff. I love that effect so much.
Yeah, definitely adds a lot of movement and character.
Yeah, and then of course like. Like wide noise, erosion's great just for adding crispies, and then OTT on pretty much a lot of things whenever possible. And just more EQing and Saturn just to give it even more like just a little distorted a bit.
And the OTT is not on 100%.
Yeah, it's just yeah, definitely. It's just a little bit less.
Yeah.
And then I just literally just old tape because I was like I need to make it sound more vintage and fun, so it's kind of just
Fab filter.
Always. They're so good. And the filtering here is actually just like a mixing. Right here's a low pass filter. And that was just for mixing purposes because I wanted the sound out here to be more present. Sounds cool. So like I just added that filter when it hits.
So instead of making that sound louder.
Yeah, I love doing little stuff like that. I read like a Far years ago when I was like 15. Far Too Loud wrote like a little article about like some of his production stuff, and he talked about like automating EQs at like certain points in a song and like all this stuff that maybe didn't make sense at the time, but then like a year later I was like, oh, yeah, now I understand.
Exactly, like doing it the long and tedious way like that is always going to produce better results than just slapping a plugin.
Definitely, yeah.
Even though I still do.
Yeah, I mean, I do sometimes too. Cool. Let's see what else is this. Yeah, these are just like little hits, and like you can hear the grain delay really doing its thing on that. But I guess one of the more I'll go over this one just a little bit, just briefly. This is I love Ableton's granulator so much.
Oh yeah.
Just dropping like any random loop in, and then using just like making it spray and stuff. It sounds so cool. So it's like a wobbly little hit.
Is that Max for Live?
Yeah. It's a Max for Live granulator. It's buggy as hell.
Yeah, I think that's why I used to use it, but yeah, it kept crashing my Ableton.
Oh yeah, it's so annoying. But like. I'm surprised this one survived on this project, honestly, because I got another granulator, but I still go back to this one just because I'm, for the most part, pretty Ableton native, like as far as plugins I use goes, and it's just like it's a lot faster for me.
So yeah, is this the bass?
Yes, this is. I've been waiting to talk about this. Yeah. I love telling people about this. So like this is where like I talked earlier about listening to a lot of Jai Paul at the time and loving like there's a song, especially in like was it BTSTU, that main sound, just like the I love that, and I was like trying to like recreate that to some degree. It's kind of impossible because he's definitely using some kind of like outboard, like some analog gear, I'm sure. But you know, trying to emulate that, and this is there. So in 2 layers, I have the sub separate. This is just like the low end sub. It's still a saw, so it still like doesn't sound.
Yeah, it's still got loads of harmonics.
And this is interesting. I actually learned a lot. I keep learning stuff about operator. I've been using it for years for pretty much everything, and I just learned a lot even just making this.
Yeah, what are some of the weird things that most people wouldn't know about operator?
I have a good one. So on you know, it has like a bunch of different routings for your oscillators. When you put them all going out, so there's no FM going on, it's just acting as just like an additive synth.
Right.
You can actually go into these windows and like create like feedback for like into it's like just feedback on the oscillators, right? And then
so it self oscillates.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and that sounds great with like did I even do it? Yeah. So here the sine wave, when it's self oscillating, it turns into like a really soft saw wave. Yeah.
That's just a sine wave with some feedback.
The feedback, yep. But yeah, and then you know, I just like really subtle detuning and turning the retrigger off just to make it, except for one. You know, I don't know why. It's just like a weird thing. But yeah, then these oscillator velocities, I honestly have no idea how they work, but they changed like the harmonics. Like if I adjust it, like you can hear it here. There's an example. Where does it do it? Yeah, right here. So like where it goes like, whoa. That's just me. That's just automating the velocity of the second.
I would have sworn that was a arpeggiated like.
No, yeah, like I found that out when I was making the song. I was just like pulling this something. I was like, oh, so there's like more harmonic stuff I could do with this. So
crazy.
Yeah, it's like I just learn a lot by like restricting yourself to stuff like this. Also, the filter. I like the filter in Operator just because it automatically attaches. Like, you know, it has like really simple saturation things that you could put on it, and so you know this is cranked down all the way, soft shaper up. So like without the shaper, but with the shaper, just kind of a little more just beef.
Just a little bit grit as well.
Yeah. And then probably the one thing I live by in Operator that I'll tell anybody is just the time knob is amazing. It just adjusts all the times of all the envelopes. And it's really like a really quick way to add variation to like whatever you have made in Operator.
Right.
And so like.
So you just automate that instead of like, you know, making
a whole nother
instance. And
like I use this more in the second drop here, like. There's a little more dramatic. Changing, just opening up and closing every so often. So I love Ableton's flanger too. I actually carried a lot of this knowledge over from when I was making dubstep, because I would just put flangers on an Operator patch and then distort the shit out of it, because the flanger would just add more weird harmonics and just chrominess, as I like to say.
Yeah, flangers and comb filters. And
yeah, definitely love all those.
Kind of stuff.
And then the filter delay, this is just adding stereo. So instead of, one thing, never use spread knob if you're making like low end stuff or like really important stuff in a mix, especially. Like if you know that this is going to be something sticking out and you still want to add stereo to it, just don't do anything. Don't touch that knob. That knob will ruin your mix. It'll sound bad.
Yeah.
On everywhere besides your monitors.
Yeah, exactly. The phase coherence.
Yes, it's lost. Just bad, yeah. But yeah, so it's just some, you know, left-right delay on this. So it's still mono compatible, but it has like, it's just tricking your ears, I think, into thinking it's stereo. I think, right?
Mono compatibility isn't something that a lot of dubstep producers think about as well, so that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like a little bit of making the time slightly different on the left and right channel. And it's just kind of like use your ears when you play with this. See what sounds good, because like if I could adjust one of these a little bit and it might sound a little more loud on the left or the right side. So it's just kind of like you gotta play with the millisecond amount to make it sound right. But it sounds good, and it's good. And
I guess because sometimes it'll be like out of phase with the and they'll cancel out.
Definitely, yeah.
At a certain.
Just kind of controlling. It's just you got control. Yeah, saturation, distortion. I did all the distortion. And fab filter. I think this is just cutting out some mean. Just mid range. Right there was just like crazy, so I just had to cut a little bit out. And then Saturn. Again, just to add some more beef. Adjusting these things. This is basically just acting as an EQ to color it more.
Right. But using different saturation bands.
Yeah. Fab Filter Pro MB is just to like, again, just boosting the low end, then like mid range, and then like cutting out some of these weird places that it was like interfering with other stuff going on. It's
Can we hear like the source sound without the processing?
Yeah. So this is it without anything.
Quite different.
Very different. Yeah. And then this isn't terribly. This is just a saw. It's just a duplication of this patch up here, but with no detuning and just a little more drive on the saturator, a low pass filter, kind of cutting it harder.
Instrument rack is one of the best things about Ableton.
Oh yeah,
being able to layer things.
Makes everything so much easier.
Yeah.
To just like creatively keep track of more stuff for sure. These are just chords. These are just phase saw chords. Just.
Well, let's hear it.
Sorry.
Phaser.
Yeah. And then I love Echo, this new thing that Ableton just added to 10.
Yeah.
It's so useful for so many things. Like I use this. I'm just doing the same thing with Echo that I was explaining about filter delay earlier.
Right.
It's just all like in one plugin here, except you can add reverb and adjust the stereo width.
Is there a reason why you would choose filter delay over the Echo?
Echo, not really. They're both kind of the same thing. I think the only reason I used Echo on this was just to add like a slight bit of reverb, and I was just like playing with it, Also, it's just nice to have like a few knobs in one, like the output knob, stereo knob. Instead of having that and like a utility and then like some other things, it's kind of all in one.
Ross, the guy who edits our streams for us, he's asking, have you always been an Ableton user?
No. I was in FL Studio when I first started for like 3 years.
Nice.
And then I would hang out with my friend Nick Faust. We were in a thing called Dino Safari together for a while. And he got Ableton. Because he was using GarageBand before, but he's like amazing.
Wow.
I learned a lot of that stuff from him when I was like really young.
Wow.
Big shout out to Nick. And then I would just watch him use Ableton, and I learned a lot just by watching and like using on his computer, and then I eventually just got it. And it was like a really easy transition.
Yeah, it looks like you've completely mastered every single.
Yeah, it's just
thing
using.
Ableton has to offer.
Yeah, it's because Nick would use Operator like exclusively, because we would use Massive and everything, but he was like, I'm gonna use Operator, and then he figured out all this just crazy stuff that I couldn't. I was like, you made that? And like it was a shock to like me, and then like he would like show it to people and be like, what are you using? Be like, oh, we're using Operator. They'd be like, what? And it's just, let's move on to like the guitar lead thing though.
Yeah. How did you make that? Because it sounds super convincing.
It's interesting. So it's actually this vocal sample.
Yeah.
This is just some sample from probably a splice pack or something, and I just wanted something to like whistle, kind of just to weird, because it's like very inspired by Grin Parrot. I love like his like weird flute and like voice stuff he did in a lot of his older music. Kind of wanted to emulate something similar to that, but the guitar actually is just that bounced out, just like resampled, and then I think I flattened it because it had like a plugin that may not have had, but it's just literally that, but auto-tuned using Melda Auto Pitch, and then distorted using Ableton's amp plugin.
Crazy.
To make it sound like a guitar. I do that with a lot of stuff. Amp and operator are things I live by.
Yeah.
In Ableton.
Yeah, it can make anything sound like a guitar almost.
Yeah.
That's extra convincing. I don't know if it's like the breath at the end of it, or I don't know. It just sounds like a pickup.
Yeah.
A guitar.
I think it was just I had like a really small room reverb too going in before everything.
Okay.
That with like maybe some formant shifting too in the auto-tune plugin.
I see.
Yeah, I played around with that a lot just to make it sound right. And this is just like the voice stuff here. Let's dive back into this. I kind of like explaining this thing. So, you know, this, I turned the, this was, well, you have Melda. So this thing, I took the auto-tune off this because I liked it to wobble a little bit. But yeah, this is pretty straightforward. It's just,
and with the pitch of it, is that the pitch of the vocal doing that? Yeah, or
I'm making it slide actually.
Okay.
I think
yeah.
So I'm
in
just
the MIDI.
Yeah, I'm gliding in the MIDI. Yeah, here I think I'll just pull that
modulation.
MIDI up here.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so I just have the glide on in simpler.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. This is like, you know, Vine compilations of like people singing.
Oh yeah.
Are great vocal samples because like one, you just have like up to like 20 minutes of just like little random bits to work with.
Right.
They might sound awful, but like when you're drowning it in reverb and like putting a bunch of delay on it, it doesn't really matter that much in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know, so just simply like background stuff, like. But
totally. I did something about searching for acapella version, and searching for the latest ones. It seemed, you know, all the ones with tiny
yeah, definitely.
no views.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I think it's like I read like a Burial thing where I don't know if he said it, but somebody made a YouTube video kind of explaining to the extent they could his like production process and like all the stuff he sampled, and he just like sampling covers of songs on the internet, and I was like, that's genius.
Right. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that as well, and that's
yeah.
exactly what,
And this is just like a background thing. It just made the song. Yeah, I forgot I turned the processing off on bass. But yeah, this just needed to be in the drop. I felt like after kind of finishing it up, I was like, I need something like carrying it a little more. And that's just like, you know, same thing from that like cover, like Vine compilation, just like chopped and processed differently. What is this thing? Okay, yeah. This is just a guitar sample from Splice, actually.
Oh, okay.
So
it's like an actual guitar sample.
Yeah, this one's an actual guitar sample.
That's so crazy because I thought it was the same thing.
It's really short too. I don't know how it's just like it just had everything I needed. Just got lucky. I don't know. Yeah, and then on this, you know, just adding another amp to it just to make it a little more. It's like just tearing it up a little bit more.
Yeah, the Ableton amp plugin is super good. It's been in Ableton for so long, and it's just a great plugin.
It's amazing. And then what are these? These are just like little. I think these all together are like kind of like a fill thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the little funky guitar elements of this tune.
Yeah, I've been getting way into that. It's just, you know, I listened to too much Tame Impala. And I was like, I want to put stuff like that in all my songs.
Exactly.
It's so
Why
good.
do you think I got all this gear?
Yeah. Just compressing all the guitars just to nonsense, and it sounds amazing. Yeah. See, what else can I talk about? Oh yeah, just like this 808. I get 808s are really hard for me sometimes, but sometimes they just work out. And this is one of those instances where it just kind of worked out. Just operator again.
Just in the intro?
Yeah, it's just an intro. But, you know, it's just like a lot of saturation, more distortion, just cranking the bass up. But
it's nice.
Yeah, this is just this is actually interesting how I make these. It's just so you have like a regular sine wave, but then you have one up like a different harmonic range, just adding a transient to it. Like really subtle, but just making it just kind of placing a kick there rather than placing an actual kick because it may have been too much. Let's see what is this thing? I have no idea what this is. That's something
in context.
That's just something I didn't probably didn't end up putting in. Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow,
I should have left that in there.
Yeah, effects. Last but not least.
Yeah, just making fun little stuff. I usually do this kind of stuff in Operator too, but Wavetable's got like some really cool like LFO. It's got like stuff that I guess Operator can't do. Let's see what else. These are all just like little random effects, I think, actually.
It's still very important.
Yeah, definitely. Space. Just little reversey things. Yeah, then let's hit kit. Gotta have hit kit. If you don't have hit kit, you don't make EDM.
Yeah, that sounds like the beginning of Better Off Alone by Alice.
Oh yeah, yeah, hit kit is everywhere. I think this is like just a sub drop. No, it's just another like weird little effect thing I made. An operator. So this is just.
Yeah, I see you making like a lot of your effects from scratch inside. That's cool, because yeah, sometimes it's easy to get lazy and like just draw for pre-made risers and.
Yeah, sometimes I just don't do what you want though.
Right.
I feel like I look for the right effects a lot when I could just make them really easily. This is just like a bandpass noise thing. Yeah, I love those. Those are staple. And then just another riser down there. Let's see what else. Oh, you know what I do want to talk about is the bass I made in the second drop.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
so this I love really a big soft spot for like drum and bass producers and like Cohen sound. I was like, I love Cohen sound so much, and I spent many years trying to make Reese basses similar to Cohen sound, and this is inspired me, but
nice. Let's hear it in contacts.
Yeah.
Nice. Is there like reverb automated on that? Or?
Yeah. So I used Pro R for some reason. I think it's because I just got it and I wanted to use it. But I usually just use Ableton's stock reverb just for like stuff like that and I don't know,
yeah, for the reverb
fill just the sweeps and
yeah.
Yeah, so that's what yeah, so all this is just like just straight out not FMing anything here. And then
is that usually the first thing you do when you open up Operator is turn off the
No,
FM
it depends on
routing?
like what sound I'm going for. Like if I'm making a Reese bass, like sometimes it's just I don't know, it depends on what I want. But I just when you want FM and you kind of know when you don't.
Right.
It's hard to explain, but like for something like this, for sure, I want it all going straight out because you want like all the phasing.
Right.
Because when you use when you adjust the fine knobs when you're FMing, it's like really, really dramatic.
Yeah.
So turning it off will taper it down and just kind of let the distortion and the filtering after the fact do more of the work.
Right.
And I think that sounds better. I rearrange a lot of stuff when I make Reese-basses like this. Like I probably put this after at some point. Like it's different. Like
Notch filters and flanges, I'm guessing, or
did I put a flange for this? No, I have a chorus.
Okay.
Chorus and delay. I don't even think that's doing anything. Nope, dry wet's down. So that's
I think that's the trick, though, to a good cone sound bass is lots of notch filtering and lots of comb filtering in the high end.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the crazy stuff. And then, you know, it's Saturn again. Gotta have it.
Yep.
Gotta love it. Then just some like little surgical EQs that aren't really doing that much. They're just cutting out probably the parts where the resonance of this is hitting really harshly after everything. Then like a OTT that I added a little bit, so it's not really, it's doing more upward than downward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see what it sounds like without the OTT. Just sort of out of curiosity.
Still sounds pretty good.
And that's in the high end mainly.
Yeah, and then like what I do for Reese is a lot too is I'll automate the high frequency cutoff of an OTT or multiband just because it makes that weird like comey top end noise thing.
Yeah, it almost acts like a notch filter.
Yeah, on its own. Yeah. Exactly.
I noticed you don't have anything on your master really except.
Yeah, I had an ozone on there, but
okay,
it wasn't doing really anything. Like I took it off and it just sounded like a little quieter. Yeah, I was just like limiting and it's like boosting in certain parts, using like ozone 8.
Someone asked, when the drums are super loud and clipping, how do you approach mixing and what are some guidelines for leveling?
Actually, this is a good time to talk about just sidechain techniques.
Yeah.
Because I clip my drums a lot most of the time. Like as long as the transients are good and you're not like distorting like the hell out of the kick.
Yeah. I
say just clip. Like I don't. But here, something I do is I'll have like regular sidechain compression, like typical, you know. Really slight one on the clap. But then this at the end here is just a utility mapped to a gain knob, and it's just going from like a range of 0 to infinite now. And so I'm just putting that
on the ones.
Yeah, on the ones. So like if I turn that off, I bet it like interfere with everything. Yeah, it still sounds pretty glued, but like the kick just sounds louder.
Right.
When you cut everything else, like you're not turning it up or turning it down, you're just turning everything else down. So that's what your ears are paying attention to more in that certain moment.
You know about volume shaper?
Yeah, I just can't get with it. I use the LFO tool to do the same thing, and I just really like drawing it in, just because like there's parts where I want it to not be so dramatic, or I want it to be more dramatic on certain instances. Like I wonder if I do it here at all. Yeah, like see, like for instance, right here, this is like the regular one that's going on every one, but then when this it was just cutting like too much out, so it was just slightly longer, like the release, I guess you'd consider it, slightly longer here, and then shorter here.
Yeah.
Because I wanted everything to kind of be more pronounced than it was with that.
It's cool. Definitely, yeah. It makes a difference even if you don't notice it. Just the slight variations.
Yeah. Stories about the track. I guess not really. It was cool like showing this to all my like producer friends that they've just been hearing dubstep from me forever, and I was like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And they were all like, "This is the best thing you've made ever." And I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, you definitely found your calling with this kind of stuff.
Definitely.
You've sent some other demos in a very similar style. I saw. Yeah, so there should be more like that in the future.
There's definitely going to be a lot more like this. Look forward to it. I'm going to definitely get some vocalists on the next ones. Yeah, look forward to more stuff like this because it's fun and I like it a lot.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, that was tons of fun.
Coming into the studio, and hopefully we'll be back going through the next Madzu 10th grade release.
Yes, definitely. Bye, everybody.